stud. And I remember meeting him. I remember seeing Trey at our CFCs, at the talent shows, performing, and someone that really grew up in the business and was just so great with people, had this great energy about him. And really, it's so cool to watch because he naturally, by the way, and he can share more, but from what I've always known him, always known him as more of a people person, but it's cool to see how he's been able to really identify the things that matter and put it into something that's really duplicatable for anybody, and really be able to teach this. Recruiting is something he's very passionate about, and he helped restart the Jacksonville office when it opened back up. He helped one of our friends start out in California, and I went to California to visit a mentor of mine, and while I was there, got a chance to meet up and say hello. I know he lives out in LA, so we met up and got a chance to talk to him. And just as I was sharing earlier with those who are here, his passion for just the business and recruiting specifically, what it's done for him, the business, and how it's helped him, something that he always loves to give back. He had a little bit of free time and was able to rearrange some things to come down and help out for a couple of weeks and really help GCK off the ground and running and help the pilot in a big way. And really dropped everything, left his girlfriend, which I thank her so much, for 3 weeks for us to steal him down here to really help us create something awesome. So we can give him a round of applause for making him thank him, Mr. Trey Payment. There we go.
So it was a really hot, humid, rainy night in Jacksonville, Florida. I was on my second or third interview of the day. I can't remember. The summer is just one big but I can't remember everyone that was in my interview. There's, I think, 26 to 28 people for my interview. And and I had been running interviews for a little while. And it was just, I was in that mode. I'd already gotten past the comfort of the script, getting used to it. I remember getting the script for the first time and going, is he serious? He wants me to do this. And I'd gotten past that, and I was on sort of the comfort level. I was running interviews. I don't remember everyone in the interview. I remember there was this one girl, and the story is about her. Her name's Marjorie. And Marjorie, I pre-screened, greeted people and pre-screened and everyone. And she wound up being, at first, she was one of the people that, by not just the looks of her body language and stuff, but also just on paper was not the sharpest or the one you would say 10K fast starter or 50K shipper this summer. She wasn't that person. She actually didn't say much, especially in the beginning. Pre-screened her, gave her a shot for the second round. Second round came, ran the second round as I'd always done. And this was, I want to say May, late May. And so the summer had just begun, kind of near this time. And went through and she got the job. And by the end, I could see there was a tiny bit change in her. She was now, all right, I'm getting from her body language, she's cool with this. She likes it. I think she wants to do it. She's down. She's excited. Still a reserved person, but for her, I could tell she was into it. And summer continued on through her fast start. The summer she wound up being one of our top reps that summer. And if you were to ask me at the beginning in the interview when I first saw her, I would have said, I don't know. I don't know if she can do it because of just from me looking at her body language. I don't know if, on paper, whatever, we'll see. But she was one of our top reps. And then she went off to school to Nashville. And I kept in touch with her every now and then while she was going for nursing or medical or something like that. And by the next summer came around, she came back. Yes, the next summer, I was going to run a district office in Melbourne, Florida. So I was going to be a DM. I had absolutely no one for assistance. So she came to an AM boot camp, talked to her. She came with me. And I could see the same look in her eyes as when she walked into the interview room. And kind of trepidatious, you know, a little reluctant, a little hesitant, but I was, you know, I said, you know, built the vision. I talked to him. She was a trooper. She came down and she was my assistant. And that summer, I won't go into all the details, but some of the craziest adversity, definitely of my life that I've ever been through, that summer with running my Cutco office. Very strange summer. However, and as a matter of fact, a lot of counts. I remember my division manager, Matt King, thought he was going to have to close up shop because this was just, it was crazy, the stuff that was happening in my little town, city where I was DMing. And then we pulled it together. We had meetings at McDonald's. We figured it out, Marjorie and I. We went to SC2 and took down the second place trophy with no team, 12 people total who would even talk to me. No office, no nothing. And took down the number 2 trophy behind a guy named Rob Dial, who consequently during that push broke the all-time record at the time for a new district manager push. So it was, to say the least, very exciting. And I remember we were sitting there at SC2, and this is where the story comes full circle. We're sitting there at SC2, big conference of the summer. And I could see she was just lit. Her eyes, at that moment, I could see that she knew what Cutco Vector was all about. I already knew, but she knew. So then she joined me in being able to see way past the fog on the horizon that little baby reps don't have the ability to see. We see it for them and encourage them there. I saw that. She was finally on board. After a year, she said, I get it. And she told me right there, she said, Trey, I want to branch next summer. So obviously I was supportive and excited for her, and she wanted to branch, and the next summer had an unbelievable experience. And point is, I remember referencing the summer saying, well, hey, see, and I referenced the adversity that we had gone through that summer, and see how something like that can turn into something life-changing and even inspire you to do something even more challenging and scary on paper. And she said, true, but actually it started when I first walked into the interview room. I said, what do you mean when you ran your first interview? She goes, well, yeah, that was a little, but no, not that. I'm talking about when I came to interview and you interviewed me in Jacksonville all that time ago. I said, really, what do you mean? She said, I had already been to 2 Cutco Vector interviews. I've been to one with my friend, and I went to one on my own. Both times, I walked out and didn't take the job. Those are the 2 results. And I said, oh, really? Well, it's the same job, same product. I guarantee it hasn't changed in that year span. She said, I know. But I walked in, and as soon as I looked around and I saw what it was, I was about to walk out the door. And then you walked up to me, smiled, and I don't remember what you said. I remember nothing what you said. I don't even remember how you shook my hand, where I sat. I don't remember anything. All I remember was I was about to walk out because I thought this is this Cutco Vector thing, which she's never gone past the interview. She's never done the job, but the interview, she never got past that because she didn't want to. For some reason, she said, I don't know what it was, what was said, but I felt the second you walked up to me before I walked out the door, I just felt that everything was going to be okay. And I felt I should probably be here. I should stay here for a little bit because this feels different. And I said, really? She said, yes. And then we went to the pre-screen, the second round, and throughout the time, I always look back on that as, I don't know what was different, but that interview, it was the same. Of course, it was the same product. It had to be the same info because now that I know how to run an interview, we're trained the same way. But it was just that experience. It was how it felt. And it was how I didn't feel stupid. I didn't feel judged. She says before, I'm always told that I'm not good enough, and I never felt like I could do it, or I felt, so that in turn turns into skepticism or whatever. For some reason, I felt I'm okay. I belong here, at least for the interview. And I felt that, so I felt okay with staying. So the point of that story is that you guys know, for the most part, so far, I'm assuming, I don't know all of you personally, but I would take a gamble and say that you know what Cutco Vector is. Am I right? You know the product is pretty good, right? You know this job and the opportunity that it holds is pretty awesome. It is what you make of it. Or else you guys wouldn't be here. Okay? I wouldn't be here. None of these people would be here if it weren't the case. Okay? We know that. But people, when they first walk in, what do they know? What do they know? Nothing. What they might think they know something based on, and it's funny, a lot of people say, oh, okay, so this is what this is, the Cutco, vector thing. They'll say, oh, you've done it 9 times out of 10, they haven't even done the job. If very rarely they actually went to an interview and they made their whole decision on what it is, or kind of have a perception of what it is based on their experience at an interview that they actually never did the job. And most people haven't even gone to an interview. It's hearsay. Does that make sense? So how much do you guys know versus the average person who has never done the job, maybe possibly walked into a Cutco office once? Not a whole lot, right? Yeah, you know more. So with that, I wanted to say that recruiting, I love all parts of the business. Recruiting is something that I learned, you guys learning first, it's something that I learned first years ago. And it is the front lines. The first, yes, they're going to talk to receptionists, but the first thing that anyone knows or thinks they know, perceives about what we do, about our products, about our company, about anything, about our office, your local office that you represent, everything they perceive is from you, is from the front lines, from walking in the door. Hi, you here for the interview? My name's Trey. That's it. That's the very first part. And it's so simple, by the way. There's not a whole lot to saying, hi, my name is, and your name is? Great, have a seat. Not a whole lot to that. But the pre-screen and the interview sets the tone for training. It sets the tone for everything that precedes it. So I always took a lot of pride, and I had fun doing it because especially after that, I learned, oh, I'm not just saying words on a page to get people to want the job and to try to, there's genuine value in running an interview. As crazy as it sometimes gets, and it will. There is a lot of value in it, so have fun with that. So before we dive into any script stuff, I want to start with the overall philosophy. Then we'll zoom into the mechanics. So if you're writing anything down, you can just write this as recruiting philosophy. Before you're saying stuff, I think it's very important that you know why you're saying it. So therefore, if you mess up some of the words, which you will, you don't say everything verbatim every single time. If something happens that's not on script, it doesn't matter if it's on script because you know where you stand. You know why you're doing what you're doing. Okay? So the first thing to write down is know your script. Know your script. Now, some of you know the script. Some of you have run interviews. A lot of you guys have not run interviews. Who cares? Okay? It doesn't matter. Wherever you are, just know your script. Okay? For example, a lot of representatives, once they get the job, they'll go watch an FSM do a demo, or go see a high-level talk from, a CSP, and that's great. It's phenomenal. Okay, and they're not they haven't rebelled from the program. They don't do something that's super crazy and out there that we would never teach. It's just that in initial training, we're not going to teach someone to close on $5,000. A new rep they would freak out. Okay, so point is, know your script first, because as soon as you get that down, then you can start to learn maybe some intricate stuff or the higher stuff. And more importantly, you start to know your style. You understand what works for you, what doesn't work for you, how you feel comfortable saying certain things, that basically how you differ from others. So know your script, because as soon as you get that down, then it's playtime. Because then you don't really I always compare it to, well, obviously, as an actor, having a script. Okay, a lot of times, yes, it's fun to improv and just kind of go off the cuff, and it is. But I think a lot of times with improv, you have to first be in circumstance. You have to know who you are and what do you want, and what are the circumstances. So what are your circumstances? Okay, obviously you know that. But as far as the words on a page, there's a reason the words are written there. I always compare this to actors. Actors, you guys probably know Johnny Depp. Okay, he is not the most exciting guy in the world. Like, he is one of the most boring, awkward, nervous people. Has anyone ever seen him in an interview? He actually has to smoke a cigarette in most of his interviews because he's so nervous to talk. Yeah, the guy who plays the most flamboyant, crazy, awesome characters cannot speak. Forget public speaking. He can't speak to David Letterman without freaking out and having a panic attack. So that's why if you ever see Johnny Depp a lot of times in his interviews, he smokes cigarettes to calm him down. Okay, so he is not a gifted public speaker. You guys are way ahead of Johnny Depp. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but what he does well is he gets the words that the writer gives him the script. He learns them, does it verbatim, but he brings it to life. He does it in the way that he's comfortable doing it, and he breathes the just black and white words on a page. He brings it to life. I know it sounds kind of like, well, yeah, of course, that's what a script is. But that's what you have to think. A script, once you know the script, then let's say you were in front of the camera as an actor, or you were on stage, and then and you know the script, and you know someone's supposed to have a line, but they drop a line. They forget it, or they mess it up. If you just know your script just enough to know what you're supposed to say, and you are very dependent on everything being exactly perfect all the time, that person says these exact words in this exact way, this timing, this tone. If they switch it up at all, if they have any spontaneous life, which hopefully they do, if they're good, then you're screwed. You can't do anything because you guys get me? So how does that relate to this? Know your script. Then when something pops up in an interview, something undoubtedly will. I'm not saying it's bad, it might not be good, whatever, but something will. Then you'll feel a lot more comfortable because you can walk in and anything can happen. You know what you're supposed to say. Something comes up, you can kind of dabble in that a little bit and then go right back. Does that make sense? It's a lot more fun to do that. So know your script.
And that would be a simple thing. Would be like someone answers a question like
bizarre.
Yeah,
you had that last time.
And in
that was fun.
And in your script, it says certain things, and you're like, you know,
that was none of the options. Or if you have someone go, so which one do you think you get paid? I mean, and we lead them so much. So if it's make $320, or do 20 points to make $320. However, with the incentive, let's say they made $600. Well, would you rather make $320 the base pay or $600? Anyone with a quarter of a brain will say, even if they did not know the answer, well, by the look on his face and the way he's doing the gross junk knife face, but then like the hell yeah face, I'm going to go with the hell yeah response. Sometimes, every now you get someone go, repeat the question? I don't know. The base pay. Yeah. And by the way, that's not something you should freeze about. That's something you should just be like, oh, it's okay. Let me walk you through this. You have to remain confident because a lot of times it has nothing to do with, oh my God, I'm figured out. Who cares? You have nothing to hide. Just have fun with it, know your script. But my point is, or her point was, people are going to sometimes say the most ridiculous things. And just, can anyone help him out? That's whatever. So, what was I going to say? Go ahead.
That's a great phrase, by the way, for you to jot down.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go to that a little bit.
Yeah.
But if someone, I'll say that, if someone ever asks a question, for example, wait a minute, is this guaranteed? Is there a base pay? And it's sometimes when they ask, and you might perceive it as being sort of skeptical. All the time, it's not. It's just a request for information. We just, sometimes new recruiters get a little defensive. Like, oh, my God. Whatever, who cares? They say, but if it's something you've obviously already covered, then you say, wait, is there a base pay? What's the base pay? It's like, yeah, or what's the base pay? I don't know. Is there? It's okay. Okay, can anyone help her out? You don't ever have to answer directly. Just have other people. Then everyone else is like, yeah, we know, and they're like, crap, I don't know. I need to start paying attention. Okay, so then it's not about you. It's about them battling for the position. Make sense? So that's a good one. Is, hey, can anyone help them out? Can anyone help them out? And hey, I also know this. I'm going to address the reality of it. I know that there are some representatives that going through the rep position do not actually memorize completely, as much as we like to, page 9 and 10.
8 and 9.
All right, I'm sorry, 9 and 10. See?
The intro, welcome to...
Welcome to... Oh, yeah. I never read that either. 8 and 9. So page 8 and 9 are the page...
That's it.
What's the other one?
15.
15. Page 15, 8 and 9 or 15. When we say memorize that, people, oh yeah, definitely get that down. Year later, go ahead and do it. They've developed their own. I know that there's more than one way to skin a cat, or whatever metaphor you think is more appropriate and less offensive. But you understand my point. There are multiple ways to get something done. Okay, I know that, but for the sake, especially as now that you're going to be at least assistant managers, and we will be teaching people, making a program very duplicatable and structured, there has to be a certain set thing that is very repeatable that we can just point to and everyone's on it. And then once people get good, then they can do that. But I know it doesn't actually, especially if you have a certain level of talent or skill, you can do the close and not do it verbatim from the training manual and still probably sell a lot of Cutco. In fact, I know multiple people who do that. That's fine. And good for you, by the way. That puts you at an advantage. But what I'm saying is now, yeah, I know. But I'm saying, but now being assistants, you are going to be recruiting, training, managing, and talking to people who are not, the majority of will not be as talented or skilled as you are. You have to understand that. They're not. So very simple. So everything's very simple.
A lot of times when you're not on program and you just get results, it's personality driven.
Yes.
Got it? Mm-hmm. And so other people can't duplicate your personality. And maybe they're not as confident. So sometimes if you have a certain, you can get away with certain things, but there is a power in being grounded in your fundamentals.
Yeah.
And then that's what makes them duplicate. And then you put your personality in it.
Yeah.
But having those fundamentals down that other people can duplicate, and then they put their personality into it. So it's that same recipe we're all using, but you might put some sprinkles, you might put some chocolate, you might put some caramel, and you'll throw your stuff in it, but it's the same foundation that we're all using. And that's really important, especially as you get into management. But most top reps, if you put us, we might all have our own little sprinkle in our clothes, but a lot of us have the exact same foundation.
Yeah, same. We all learned. I know. Now I do say this. Maybe I was brought up, and I wasn't scared of people. You know, I was a certain level of talent and skill in most of everything I do. I'm not saying to brag. What I'm saying is that puts me at a disadvantage because a lot of people will say, I don't need to memorize. For some reason, I memorized on right when they told me. I memorized my clothes. I've always memorized everything. Even the interview script, I knew it word for word when I first got it 10 years ago. So I'm not going to tell you guys something. Well, you guys do this, but I'm good, so I don't have to do anything. I've done it and continue to do it over and over. So trust me, do it that way because then it gets a lot easier and a lot more fun, and you'll get better results anyways. So memorizing the script is definitely a prerequisite. Here's the second bullet point I have for you. Know and have confidence in your company, your product, your job, and opportunity. So know and have confidence in your company, your product, your job, and your opportunity. This is probably the biggest key to running interviews, the demeanor in which you run them. And Kathy's already hit on it multiple times. By now, you already know about Cutco, you know about Vector, you know about your office, your division, all that. So act like it. You're armed with all this stuff, right? You have a decent level of confidence. I know you do. I've seen you guys. Okay? So when you're running an interview or when you're greeting people or you're running any part of any sort of office function, the first one you learn is interview. Don't all of a sudden lose your personality and everything you know and be like, oh, I don't know what to do. Yeah, you do. You run it. No one else knows better than you that you're going to be in front of. So have confidence in it. Even if you're fairly new. I will say that the longer you're around, of course, it's easier to have that sort of confidence because of your experience. You've had so many things happen right the way, just the way it was supposed to. You have so many things that happen that are the exact opposition of the way you planned and you wanted it to go. So you kind of then it becomes, it's not as, you don't get as anxious about it. So I get that comes with time, but I will say after a decade of people coming and going and coming back again, even myself in my own experience, okay, I've technically left Cutco multiple times for entertainment and this deal and this and that multiple times, yet still have always come back. Why do you think I come back? Because it's awesome, because I love it. And also I will say I can't cite really many people that you guys would know, because I did Cutco in Florida forever. But I know there are people that have actually, moved on to other things because of their experience with Cutco Vector, and even those things, they wind up coming back. And every single one of them, one things that the common thread. Though I say just out of curiosity, so I know why I did. But what about you? What are some of the things that you liked about what you went on to, and some of the things you don't like, and what brought you back here? Every single time they said no one does it like Cutco Vector. No one does the recognition. No one's just the combination of all the different things we do. Other companies maybe have a couple of them, but they don't do them as well. All things considered, I believe, however many percent you can believe, that there's no better opportunity, definitely for any young not even professional, a young unprofessional. There is no better opportunity than selling knives. There's not. And as far as the organization of which you're a part, you're a part of a pretty good organization. Okay, led by, I know her. Okay, I do know her, and I know that she's one of the best in vector history, period. Okay, so she can be humble or not, doesn't matter. I'm telling you, she is one of the best that Vector has ever seen, and she is the leader of this organization. So that is what you guys have. That is the job and opportunity. That is what recruits, everyone, kids all over this summer are going to be stepping into that opportunity, into that culture. You have nothing to hide. So sort of this nonchalant, quiet confidence just simply pours out of you somehow. I've rarely, in the past 10 years, and I'm not saying this because I'm saying, oh, I'm really good. I'm saying in the past 10 years, I have rarely ever had a difficult applicant. Like, I might be able to I'd probably count on one hand how many times I've had a difficult applicant since the summer of 2000 and my first interview. It was April 2005 was my first interview I ever ran. So, and it's not because I'm amazing. It's not because I'm lucky. It's not because, it's just because I was always comfortable. I was secure. And we're going to get into this a little bit, but also somehow I was relatable. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit and how to specifically execute that in certain ways. But like I said, it's a very important part of running interviews. Now, the next part, I guess it's number 3, will be know your objective. Know your objective. Your job is not to just get them to want the job, but to get them to actually show up for training, knowing what their job is, ready to learn how to do it, knowing and respecting what they're a part of, continuing on with the right focuses, kick-ass